Hello, Phillies fans. Welcome to Phillies Postgame Live, presented by our friends at Cure Auto Insurance. Look who's here. Ricky Pitalico, the former Phillies all-star closer. Ben Davis, the 1995 number 2 overall pick from Malvern Prep. Ruben Amaro Jr., general managed this team to a pennant, for goodness sakes. And we're all really ticked and disappointed. No, let's not go that far. It's game one. It's game one. However, after the Phillies staked themselves to a 5-0 lead after the top half of the fourth, and then Texas came back, got it all back, and then scored 9 runs, which matched the most runs ever given up by the Phillies in an opener, going back to 1900. I bat-boyed that game, and that was tough, let me tell you. And the box score was in a tablet form. What did you think of this one?
I thought the Phillies had the game well in hand. I think you're up 5 runs on Jacob deGrom. I think that's pretty comfortable, if you ask me. And I think Aaron Nola in that, the 4th inning, probably should have been pulled before he was. I thought he was missing his spots on both sides of the plate. He didn't have a lot of bite on his breaking pitches at that point, and I just think you leave him in there a little bit too long, and things go a little haywire. I think things got bad and got worse when Soto comes into the game, and then Brogdon comes in, gives up a home run. I thought it was just disappointing.
Yeah,
flat out disappointing.
Ben, 3 2/3 for Aaron Nola, 72 pitches, gives up 5 earned runs. Agree with Ricky Bo that maybe he should have been pulled a little bit earlier?
100%. He just hit the proverbial wall. He went out there for that 4th inning, and he just hit a wall, and everything was up in the zone, and he got peppered. The thing that I didn't like, and I know velocity, I'm the first one to tell you that velocity doesn't mean everything, but I will say that his velocity was way down. He was sitting at about 91, 92. And that is a huge difference from the 94, 95 that he typically throws. He was throwing 91. He had no life on that fastball, no sink. He threw a lot of cutters tonight, and I agree with Ricky very much so in the fact that his breaking ball had no bite on it. It was just kind of rolling up there. So obviously that's a very good hitting lineup that they have over there in Texas, and it went against them today.
Let me jump in with that, too, because that's one of the concerns I have going into this season. You had Wheeler, you had Nola go deep into the playoffs, pitching late into November, really, and a shortened off season. I mean, anybody else a little bit concerned that this may be the case for a couple of starting pitchers?
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, to me, they had to log a lot of innings. There's no question about it. And Aaron Nola is one of those guys who's logged more innings than anybody in almost all of baseball over the last 5 or 6 years. I mean, he's a guy's he's thrown a lot of bullets. I've not been that impressed with how he's thrown the ball this spring. The life on his fastball, as Ben said, 91, 92 pretty much all spring. Never really got that jump at the end of spring with his velocity, but hopefully it'll continue to come around and be where he needs to be. But the sharpness on the breaking ball, I didn't see the good two-plane breaking curveball that we typically would see out of him, and the depth on it. It was he was around the side of it, which is something that we have seen when he struggles. And in 2021, as a matter of fact, I saw a lot of flatness in his breaking stuff. Did not see the good breaking ball today.
Yeah, great points here, because 145 days separated November 5th and the last day of the season, nearly 21 weeks. And you think about a team that didn't make the playoffs, the players on that team are going to have a little bit more time to chill out, relax, and let their bodies heal. That didn't happen for the Philadelphia
Same creatures.
Phillies.
Everybody says, baseball players, creatures of habit, creatures of habit. But when your habits are broken and it pushes you another, over a month into the offseason, it's going to change your habits throughout the offseason. And your workouts throughout the offseason are going to be completely different. And to get yourself fresh, you're not really sure when you want to start to throw, when you want to get to a point where you're like 80% and ready to go into spring training. And then where's that jump coming from to go from 80, 85% all the way up to 100%? Where is that jump coming from? If you've never done it before, then it's going to be harder to get to that area.
Yeah, here's a guy who has done it before. He has won a pennant. Let's go down south to Arlington, Texas. Check in with John Kruk. Call today's game with Tom McCarthy. John, great to see you. What do you make of today's game? Where was this won for the Rangers and lost for the Phillies?
It was a lot of fun for like 4 innings, and then it turned sideways real quick. And look, I'm sure if you're Bruce Bochy, you're thinking, all right, our starting pitcher wasn't great in Jacob deGrom, but our offense found a way to win a game when he wasn't great, and the Phillies' offense was great, but the pitching couldn't hold up. 162 games, I guess that's going to happen. You hate to see it happen in the first game when you have such a big lead early and you can't hold it.
That's fair. Two guys that we're looking for to have big years this year. Castellanos had a couple of hits today, and Alec Boehm 3 hits today. Tell us what you saw from those two.
Well, I love the fact that they were swinging early, they were aggressive, and if you're going to hit Jacob deGrom, I'm pretty sure that's probably the only way you can do it. You know, the longer the at-bat goes, it seems like the more chances he has of putting you away with his repertoire of pitches. But I love the fact that those guys hit the ball the other way. I love the fact that, Alec especially drove the ball with power the other way. It's a great sign to see those two guys from the start swinging it good. It's now it's let the other guys join the party too this early in the season, and this offense is going to be a lot of fun.
John, tell me a little bit about what the feeling is when you get a great lead against a very tough pitcher, and then all of a sudden you're beat up and you give up a ton of runs. What it does to the psyche in that dugout?
Yeah, I'm sure if you would have told the Phillies players and front office or their coaching staff, you're going to score 4 runs in the first few innings off deGrom, take it and run in a heartbeat, and you think you win that game with Aaron Nola pitching it. If I'm the offense, though, look, you understand that, we had one of the best pitchers going in all of baseball in Jacob deGrom. And, what did he pitch? 3 1/3, 3 2/3 or something?
3 2/3.
I think that's what Aaron got through at 3 2/3 also. But, if you told the Phillies, he's going to go 3 2/3. Granted, his spring training was short because he got hurt early in the spring, did deGrom. But you take that in a second, and normally that lead would hold up. But, give the Rangers offense credit, man. They just kept battling, and the one swing by Grossman kind of did them in.
Again, when you talk about game number 1, there's plenty of time for improvement. We're expecting a better performance today from this team in the first outing of the season.
I was expecting them to whitewash the Rangers, especially after you're up 5-0. I think you got to be able to smell that blood in the water, and the Phillies they failed. I mean, when Aaron Nola goes back out for that inning, you're expecting him to go out there, have a shutdown inning, and then everything kind of go on cruise control. Never saw that with Aaron today.
Yeah.
You never saw that cruise control half inning for the Phillies.
Yeah, especially when you have a ball club that had 8 extra base hits. 8 did the Phillies have, and most of those were against deGrom. You're thinking, I'm sitting pretty right here. It just didn't work out that way. I wondered also, in the last start that we broadcast in spring training last Saturday against Yankees, Aaron got hit around a little bit, and he only threw 37 pitches in that performance. You wonder, was there a carryover effect? Maybe he just didn't have his legs underneath him. Maybe that's why he got fatigued so quickly. We did hear Rob Thomson say in that ball game that he was only going to go 40, 45 pitches as it was. Just a little tune-up before the first start today. But I don't know. I think he just really looked fatigued to me.
Let me ask you something. The pitch clock. We know Aaron's a slow worker to start with. Do you think it hurt Caleb and Rob Thomson today?
I'm not sure.
In the sense that there were runners on base, Aaron had already given up 2 runs, and then we saw that picture in the bullpen of them finally talking about what to do. I think that took way too long.
I think this is going to be an adjustment. The pitch timer is going to be an adjustment for basically everybody. There's no question about it. I was surprised that Aaron Nola didn't have more success against this lineup, because this is a lineup in Texas that strikes out a lot. And Aaron Nola typically will strike out a lot of players. He could not do that because he didn't have the finish on his pitches that he needed to get it done. I was surprised that he could not shut them down once they got the lead for him.
What's Rob Thompson's assessment of today's opener? Here he is in the manager's office postgame.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the first inning took its toll on him, because it was a long inning, 21 pitches, 22 pitches, something like that. And then, got the ball up a little bit in the last inning. Probably missed some locations. I haven't looked at the tape, but yeah.
Caleb went out there. Did it seem like it was speeding up a little bit on him? Or we've seen kind of those innings before.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Okay.
I didn't think so. I thought he said he felt good. And everything was fine, and then, he got to 30 pitches or close to it in that last inning, and that was a little bit much for me. So that's why we went to Soto, and Soto, walk, blue pit, walk, cued single. It was, but the walks and the home runs hurt us tonight. But we swung bats good. We played pretty good defense. Castellanos with a nice play, right center field. But we swung bats good against a really good starter.
Talk about bone, bigger, stronger, better approach to the plate.
Yeah.
199 mile per hour fastball for the ground kind of backs that up.
Yeah, he's he started off the spring really, really good, and then he went through, I think, some fatigue towards the middle and towards the end. But looks like he's fresh now, swinging back good.
That's the first time the Grom had given up 6 extra base hits in a game. You probably figure when you do that against a pitcher like him that you're going to pull out a W.
Yeah, well, we got out to a 5-0 lead, and they came back and swung the bats good. Had some good at bats against us. So.
He struck out to end the game, but did you like generally what you saw from Castellanos at the plate?
I did. I thought his last at bat was a little bit different than the other 4. I thought he stayed back pretty good the other 4, or the other 3. I don't remember many at bats he had, but I thought he looked fine.
Bone has said that he hasn't really done much differently. That he credits his offensive resurgence of late more to maturity and the muscle. Are you seeing anything different in the approach, or are you seeing anything different?
Not really. We don't really want to change his approach. We want him to be able to use the entire field because that's what makes him a great hitter. But at the same time, be able to get out in front of some balls when he needs to, and that's what he's doing right now.
Did you guys ever? Nola from the stretch as opposed to without runners on base is a very different pitcher, at least numbers wise. Have you guys ever kind of?
Yeah, we look
the bottom of that.
Yeah, we look into it constantly. Whether it's Nola or somebody else, whether they're pitching from the stretch, pitching from the windup, and they're having problems one way or the other, they're always looking at it.
How big of a performance was that from Vasquez and Bilotti to just kind of stop the?
Yeah, they were really good, and Strom was good. Strom was just getting an inning of work because if he didn't pitch tonight, it would have been 8 days between appearances. So we just wanted to get him some work if we could, and that was kind of the perfect spot for him. So those 3 guys threw the ball good.
You mentioned the walks with Soto. Sometimes debut with a new team.
Mm-hmm.
Anything goes into that?
Probably trying to do a little bit too much, and it's opening night, and let's get all that stuff out of the way, and we'll move on to Saturday.
He hadn't entered a game before the 7th, I think, in 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah.
Is that something you're obviously you're comfortable bringing him in that spot?
Yeah, I am, and I think he's comfortable with it. Should be anyway.
Nola talked a lot in spring training about the pitch timer and feeling like it was an adjustment for him really through several starts in spring. Did he look like he kind of got out of sync a little bit in the 4th inning when there was some traffic on the bases and maybe he had to pitch out of the stretch?
No, I didn't think so. I thought he handled it pretty well. He slowed the clock down, so to speak, and bought some time for himself when you needed it. So that's what you need to do. You need to control the clock, not the clock control you. And I don't think that had anything to do with it.
Brogdon was 95, the first 2 pitches, and then later 93. Did you guys?
Yeah, he's probably just a little bit tired.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's Aaron Nola postgame.
The previous innings.
A lot of pitches, getting behind guys. Got Seager on base to lead off the inning, which kind of hurt. Some balls over the plate and up a little bit.
Do you feel like you had trouble throwing non-fastballs for strikes, changeups, curveballs?
I feel like my curveball was kind of down, but it wasn't really sharp. So I think they hung on a little bit longer. They could get to him a little bit better. But yeah, the stuff started leaking over the plate. Changeup was up a little bit. I'll have to go back and watch, but I thought they hit a couple good pitches. But the one to Grossman was just middle up.
Caleb came out in the middle of the inning there, and there was a lot of guys on base. Did you ever notice or feel the clock at all?
Yeah, a little bit. Something just got to get used to. Just to keep trying to figure out how to slow down, and but ultimately, balls was kind of leaking on me and hanging, so that was kind of that third, 4th inning.
How do you feel? Is it kind of in the back of your head where you're just only have so much time, or you want to take more time? Like, what's that like?
Well, I mean, you gotta kind of focus on the clock and the hitter at the same time. So it's just something to get used to.
Is it a bigger challenge when there are men on base? I mean, I know you have extra time, you have 5 more seconds. There's still more going on. And, you know, does that make it more difficult when there's men on?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, try to bear down a little bit more, right? And really got to make your pitches. And I didn't do that today in the fourth, and kind of spiraled.
Have you ever, like, from the stretch, like, the numbers are like really different than without guys on base, and naturally there's more pressure with guys on base. But have you ever tried to get to the bottom of why things can sometimes spiral for you from the stretch?
Not really looked into it. I mean, the wineup's always felt good to me, right? And if I'm filling up the zone, I'm throwing quality pitches, it goes a little bit smoother.